What up? Welcome to level 4 of the Thoughts and Players podcast, a brand new gaming podcast with bold takes and no strings attached. As you can tell, we are doing a little thing different today. David's hosting. Hello. And with me, we have Cory.
Hello. And in the words of Deckard Cain, stay a while and listen.
Yes, thank you. And then Jeremy.
I don't know what that was. I'm just going to say hello like a regular person.
I appreciate that.
Diablo.
And then we have a special guest today, Corderio.
Excelsior.
Love it.
Everybody's just messing
Love it. He's hired, man.
I understood that reference. Thank you. And I also want to give a shout out to Commissar. He is the artist that created our new intro and outro music. We all love it. I appreciate it. And I can't thank you enough for that. Well, let's move on. We're going to go to the morning announcements. With number 1, Sega announces the Micro Game Gear. That is, I don't think it could have been any more micro. What about you guys?
I don't think I can play it. It is so small, and my hands are, they're pretty big. I honestly I don't think I'll be able to get it. Looks cool, though.
Are your hands big because you've been drinking Giant's milk?
Exactly.
I mean, so the Game Gear thing,
right.
I really have no interest in it. I saw it. It looks pretty small, but way to go, Sega. I think Nintendo did that, 2-3 years ago? I think we're all past that.
Right.
Yeah. I was really hoping that the announcement would be something bigger, like hopefully they were teaming up with possibly PlayStation to bring us something bigger, or possibly they were going to just release a whole new system and really go for it after the money they made from Sonic the movie,
That's what I was hoping.
I was just hoping for a bigger Game Gear.
Get their feedback wet and just, go for it. But yeah. No, size does matter. Sorry, Sega.
All right, number 2, we have Take-Two poaches and closes Star Theory Games. That's pretty decisive.
That's just big companies doing what they do, which is why they're terrible. Is shutting down the development of a game from a game studio that's developing it for you, and then before they can even close their doors, you're trying to hire away their staff. That is pretty scummy, but it is also Take-Two. So there you go.
Yeah, I think you said it all, Jeremy. It's shiesty. Is that another good word?
That's the word I was actually looking for. Yes.
Okay, Corderio, do you have a word that will fit? We've used the 3 good ones.
A synonym. Jeremy hit it on the nose.
Really mean.
That was very uncool.
Gotcha.
Perfect. All right, number 3, we have canceled Avengers game is shown off.
Yeah, did anyone else watch this trailer?
I'm happy that was canceled.
I didn't even know they were making a game.
I thought it looked okay. It kind of looked like a Left 4 Dead ripoff. Probably one of those it was early 2000s, like a kind of based off the first Avengers. It was going to be real crappy, but it would have been good for 5-6 hours. I don't know.
In comparison to the Avengers game that we're getting ready to get in September, that I'm waiting idly for.
If that got canceled, so this could be made, I'm down with you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm happy
I feel it's worth
we did
it.
not get that crappy game. We've experienced enough crappy games with all the games that they were making to coincide with the movies. We deserve a great Avengers game. We have waited long enough. Yeah, canceling that first-person game. I don't even know who decided to make it in first person. I just wasn't feeling that much, man. It didn't do it for me. Playing as Captain America, and it's not like VR or anything. And it's like I have to throw the shield, and then I'll get to see him when he goes in for a combo. It just wasn't my cup of tea.
You're here.
All right, number 4, Capcom delays the Pro Tour Online, which I can understand because a lot of stuff has been delayed lately. Number 5.
I was just going to say, does anyone really care? And obviously, the answer is no.
No.
Whatever.
All right. Number 5, Kingdoms of Amalur Remastered, set to release August 18th.
Now, people do care about this, people being myself.
One
What's
person.
important,
game.
Jeremy? As long as you care.
Exactly. It's a great fantasy RPG. It caused Kurt Schilling to bankrupt the development studio and cost, I believe it was Rhode Island, millions upon millions of dollars to the taxpayers. It was financially and economically a disaster, but pretty good game. Glad to remastering it.
So I want to confirm something, Jeremy. This is 2 weeks in a row you kind of like gone for a remaster.
Hey, guess what? Guess what?
Okay, go ahead.
Hey, guess what? See, because you're coming in, you already know what you're coming in with, right?
Hey,
Coming in
but
hot.
Skyrim, you're the bad guy.
Hey, guess what? How many remasters does Kingdoms of Amalur have right now? None.
It's about to be
Skyrim,
one too many.
Oh wow!
I'm glad we're in separate rooms.
Just because
Ding, ding, ding. Back to your corner.
Just because you bankrupt a development studio and a city, kinda, doesn't mean that it's a bad game.
Second chances. I got you.
Yeah.
Of all things, that should make it the most epic game of games.
It's not that epic. It's okay, but it's a good fantasy RPG. I'm glad they're remastering it, bringing it.
Perfectly average.
It is a really good not AAA, AA tier type of RPG, but it's really good.
Sounds
Okay.
like the backstory is a lot better than the game. But we'll find out. We'll find out.
They should make a game on that.
All right, before we get into a fight, number 6, Nintendo confirms 300,000 user accounts have been compromised. That's never a good thing.
I'm probably one of them. I'm just waiting for them to apologize and send me a free game. So there's a silver lining to that. But I think it speaks to the bigger issue of Nintendo's online ecosystem just not being very good. They haven't really developed it like they should, and this is just like another, not nail in the coffin because they're going to keep doing it, but man, it just looks bad. And it is bad.
Give me that number again.
300,000.
That's what I thought you said. I didn't know that the number was that high. Jeez.
Yeah, it doubled. It doubled within the last time we talked about it.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, I know I've heard many things of Xbox and Sony being hacked and stuff, and a lot of emails being compromised. Is this the first time it's happened with Nintendo?
As
far as I know,
probably. They haven't even really been focusing on online until like the last, 6-8 years.
Mm-hmm.
Sony had that big hack back on the PS3, and they gave away free games, discounts and stuff, so you wouldn't sue them. But who knows what Nintendo's going to do?
Right.
Maybe Nintendo's online ecosystem is so antiquated that the hackers are like, we can't figure it. What we can't figure this out. Is this software from 1983? We don't know. That could be it. I don't know.
Hey, Nintendo's all about if it's not broken, don't fix it.
They're like, development of characters. Who needs it? Somebody kidnap a princess.
Yeah.
It's worked the first 20 times, right? All right, well, that's it for morning announcements, and we're going to move over to our segment, The Round Table. And today, the Round Table discussion is going to be a little different. We're going to discuss the game industry reactions to the George Floyd killing and protests. I know it's what is that word? I am bad with this.
Heavy?
Touchy?
Yeah.
Yeah, heavy, touchy subject.
Yeah.
But we're going to keep it game related. Let's start with Jeremy. What do you got for us?
So I'm going to try to keep it as game industry related as possible. But obviously, I believe it was May 25th is when May 25th is when George Floyd was murdered. And so because of that protest and everything, there was an outbreak. It had continued on throughout the week. And then all of a sudden, I believe it began Friday, and through the weekend, we got these different messages and reactions from video game industries, developers, different stuff like that. We stand in solidarity, all these cookie cutter messages.
PlayStation once again.
Yeah. I'm going to take a peculiar take on this in regards to that. I think all of this thing is just principally motivated by capitalism and by money. And so what I would like to see personally is these companies that have pledged something, if they've actually pledged or decided to reach out and do something, to actually have plan of actions, and those plan of actions actually be something that's quantifiable, because a lot of the time they aren't. So let's look at some of the companies that have actually said some stuff. So Sony made a statement, and then just recently, when they said they were going to reset their PS5 reveal event to June 11th, which happens to be today, they also promised to donate $1 million to Black causes. That's great. I would like to know the 1 million. Where is it going? When is it going there? When do you believe this initiative will be complete? What type of metrics or data do you have of which to make you believe that this initiative you've started is actually completed? Because usually the mix-up happens is both in regards to how companies handle this, as well as how people within these civil rights movements happen, is that somewhere along the line we get more mixed up in optics rather than outcomes and objectives. And those things need to be measurable. We need to have those things measurable. So I would like to know that. Microsoft, the same thing. They made a statement saying they're in solidarity, but the money I don't think was really anything they talked about, but they have a criminal justice reform initiative. They started back in 2014 where they actually use, I believe, some of their cloud storage data processing to actually track instances of police violence and be able to turn over more precise information as to when those are happening, how it happens, the frequency of it, and everything like that. You have Electronic Arts, a company that most gamers genuinely hate. They are contributing $1 million to the Equal Justice Initiative and the NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund, and they're double matching what anyone in their company donates to those organizations through their Your Cause program. They're also doing other measures, extra paid day off for volunteering on June 19th, which is referred to obviously as Juneteenth Day. So that's cool. Again, I would like to see what that initiative looks like, how that money is being dispersed. When is it being dispersed? Is this $1 million just now, lump sum? Is it over a certain period of time? And what metrics are you measuring in order to say this is a job done? Because newsflash, $1 million just all of a sudden in a bucket doesn't help fix systemic racism. Just like mass donations and throwing ice on your head doesn't cure ALS. It is something you have to repeatedly do and make a repeated, consistent effort to make sure you're having things that are quantified. So again, other companies, Ubisoft, Square Enix, Riot Games, Capcom, Bungie, these are all the companies that have said they're going to donate different things to NAACP, Black Lives Matters. The one company that actually surprised me the most that I'm happy with is Niantic, who makes Pokemon Go. They said that they're going to donate half or a minimum of the $5 million they raised from the sale of their Pokemon Go Fest 2020 tickets to fund projects for Black gaming and augmented reality developers that can live on their platform. And another half of it will go to help nonprofits build local communities or rebuild local communities. They will also donate $100,000 to the Marsha P. Johnson Institute, which is great, and they're also matching employee contributions up to $50,000. And they're starting diversity initiatives in their workforce. That's a whole lot done. So that stuff is great, but again, I have to question how motivated they would be to do these things if there weren't money involved. So like Warner Bros., they made a statement, they didn't put out a plan. Nintendo of America, they made a statement, didn't put out a plan. Epic Games, they decided, well, you know what? We're gonna let voices that need to be heard. So we're gonna delay Fortnite Season 3 launch. Okay, thanks. Really appreciate that. Take-Two didn't make a statement. Rockstar decided, you know what? We really need to listen to people. So we're going to go ahead and make sure GTA Online and Red Dead Redemption 2 Online, that we take them down for a couple hours, because this whole thing, I feel like we can get it sorted out in a couple hours or really get some voices amplified in a couple hours. So let's take it down from 2 to 4. They took it down long enough to where if you were playing it and you took a lunch and came back, you wouldn't know it was down. I don't know how well that is as far as making a statement of solidarity with systemic racism, with police brutality. it all really feels vapid, even though there's doing these things. It really seems like a lot of them are just, here's $250,000. We're not racist. Buy our stuff, please. So I'm interested to see where the plans of action are, and if we actually ask them for plan of actions. Okay, you pledged $100,000. What does this disbursement of $100,000 look like? Where does it go to? And what are you saying? Oh, this has been effective. Or if we're really against systemic racism and we're really against systemic oppression, we may need to put another 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 in the bucket if you actually are worth that, because this just isn't a thing that you say and then do once and then it's over. It's something that you have to repeatedly go against, because the people who are fighting it and who are subjected to it are repeatedly going through it. So that's pretty much how I'm looking at it from that standpoint. I relent. Or as someone would say, I yield my time.
All right. I like it. I mean, you are right on every level. Just because you throw something at it doesn't mean it's gonna fix it. So we need to see more action, more development, and I hope we do. You have anything to say, Cor?
Yeah, give me 1 second. I just want to.
That is Corderio, and he is clapping.
Wow.
So.
That was strong. We're keeping it in the gaming realm with this subject. So for me, I'm just gonna say on all levels, I agree. It's one thing to take action in something. It's another to throw money at it, especially when it makes you look good. You know, it's just like those can be PR things. Those can be subtle things. Hey, we did our part. We paid to not be racist. So, you know,
yeah,
we're good over here. Like, so I agree completely 100%. A lot of things I look at when I just see like issues of this nature and it's like donations being made. I'm like, being made where? To whom? Yeah. How does the money get distributed?
Yeah.
What does it help? Where does the cause go to? You know, it's like you can't just be like, oh, these kids are crippled. All right, I give the money. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You know, like where does that money go to? Where programs will help those children? Like how's it being done? So 100% agree. Well put, my good man.
Thanks. And then just to add quickly, there's also certain things like if you assess or analyze the verbiage of things like such and such brand pledges, okay, well, you can pledge, but when is that money actually going to be spent and where is it going? Because you can say I pledged $10 million. Okay, you can say I pledged $10 million in the year 2065. We don't.
It's kind of like
what does that
kind
mean?
of like Michael Scott declaring bankruptcy.
Yeah. Yeah, you just yell it and
right.
you declared it. Yeah, exactly.
That's not how it works.
Yeah.
Anything to add, Corey?
Yeah. So Niantic, I feel like out of all the companies, they really pushed forward an initiative that seems like it's going to make a difference, which is very nice to hear. A lot of these other companies, though, it feels a little bit disingenuous. This isn't the first unlawful killing. And the previous ones, there's been no outcry from any of these companies. It was only when the riots started happening and people said, we can't take this anymore, that the companies are like, hey, we're on your side. So, yes, it's nice, but like you guys have pointed out, we need to see this over many, many years, not just a one-time, hey, we're not racist, you know? And maybe it's not their responsibility, but, you know, you're a company, you have customers, you got to do it, you know?
Yeah, that's an interesting thing we kind of talked about before, which I'll bring up. You know, what kind of social responsibility does a corporation have to the public? There's a question there, but apparently is that they have some when they put out statements. So right. If you're going to thrust yourself into that arena because you're afraid people may think you're racist, then you have to make sure that you have to understand what you're getting into and what that means. And the reason we kind of touched on this before in previous conversations, but part of the reason that I think we're all in agreement that it's kind of vapid and useless is because of what happened last year, 2019, with Blitzchung, Activision Blizzard, and the whole Hong Kong protest thing.
Quiet.
And that's within the realm of actual video games. The George Floyd incident happened outside the realm of video games. Blitzchung said, what was it? Hong Kong, the revolution of our lives or of our times. He said that, during a live stream, and got, his money, his prize money taken away, got banned. I think the 2 announcers that were talking with him got fired. This all happened, because of the protests and them censoring, them allowing that censorship to happen. Well, I don't know if people are really aware of what's going on in Hong Kong or what's been going on there in Hong Kong since 2014. If you haven't, I implore you to research and get educated on that, as well as issues of systemic racism and oppression that are happening in America. But they were quiet then too. Both them and the media. The video games media, it's interesting too, because they really like to pick and choose who they're criticizing. They reported that stuff, but they didn't take decisive stands against that stuff. You can go on Kotaku right now. The editor-in-chief wrote a statement about them supporting Black Lives Matter. But their then editor-in-chief, whoever it was, or their staff writers, whoever it was, they've lost a lot since then, didn't say anything about standing with the Hong Kong protesters or with Blitz Chung and objecting to censorship. And so the fact that the games media, in addition to all these different gaming industry developers and publishers, were quiet in that, it shows that it's hypocrisy, because they want the mobile game audience that's present in China, and they don't want to get on the bad side of them. So,
I mean, it's very simple. They have a chart. Will we make money by helping this cause? We will. Yeah. Do it. Will we lose money? Don't do it. That's as simple as that. Hong Kong, they were going to lose money. They were going to lose all that business from China because China would have banned companies.
Yeah.
And they're going to make money by doing this. Even with all those donations, they're looked at as good guys, which, some of these guys probably do have, they're doing it out of the kindness of their heart. Maybe, but they're going to make money off this no matter what. They're going to look like good guys.
Yeah, and it's less of a risk than they think, because I would just remind people of what Nike did with the Colin Kaepernick thing. Stand for something, even if it means losing everything. That Nike actually gained market share after they said they were going to support Colin Kaepernick in their ad campaign. They gained market share. They gained advertising value they didn't have to spend just by declaring and saying that. So it's not a money-losing proposition here in America. It maybe is to stand up to oppression in other places, but if you aren't standing up for oppression when it doesn't suit you, then what really is your principle at all? That's pretty much it for me, though.
All right,
well said, though.
Yes, I agree. You've done your research, and it really shows. And I just want to throw in, I've talked to Jeremy and Cory about this. I'm going to say it technically counts with Lego, because they do have Lego games, but they have done some good stuff. They pulled all their advertising for any police-related toys that they have, and the White House toys, and they've donated $4 million to fight racism and inequality, and that money's going to go for organizations dedicated to supporting Black children and educating all children about racial equality. And I think that's worth mentioning.
Yeah, definitely. Lego Star Wars is fantastic. I know there's a bunch of different police stuff that's either being reassessed or is being pulled or banned. I think I saw a joke on Twitter that they were going after Paw Patrol. Please do not do that. Please do not do that.
It's a little much.
I had Paw Patrol cupcakes for my college graduation party, as a joke for no reason, and it was great.
All right. That ends our segment at the round table. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to have something on the lighter side of things.
Hey there, players. We are excited to say that Thoughts and Players is moving to one podcast episode a week with the addition of bonus levels. Every other week, Cory, David, or myself will discuss a single gaming topic that intrigues us. It could be something current or something totally out of left field. Some levels may have all three of us, two of us, one of us and a special guest, or we may ride solo. Either way, we hope you'll listen and contribute to the conversation. Thanks for tuning in, and now, back to the show.
And we're back. Now we're going to go on to the lighter side of the things, and we're going to go with the PS5 reveal presentation that happened earlier today. They showed us what the console looked like, and I personally like it. What'd you guys get from this presentation? Cory.
Yes. Okay, I was hoping you'd call me first. I absolutely loved it. I was so happy that they showed off Spider-Man Miles Morales. Spider-Man is one of my favorite games of all time. I think Miles Morales is an excellent character, and that just got me hyped from the get-go. And I don't know how the rest of the presentation was, but I was already hyped for it. So that set the stage. A lot of great games. They had a good mix of games that you already know, like Ratchet and Clank, Horizon, Gran Turismo. And they had a lot of games that are brand new, that you're kind of looking forward to. Godfall. Yeah, that's the only one I can think of off the top of my head. But there's a lot of good variety of games you already know and you can be excited for, and games that are brand new and you can look forward to. So I was very excited for it. Very happy with the presentation.
For me, nothing really moved me much, like where I was like, oh, hell yeah, this, like as far as the other games were considered. But seeing Spider-Man Miles Morales solidified my first day purchase of the PS5. It only took for that one game for me to go, yep, I got to have this first day. Because a lot of times on new consoles, I kind of waited out a little bit. Usually, they have to work out some of the little, issues that they have with them, do update after update after update when the games first come out, when everybody's getting their first play in. So I'll take a little time, and usually we don't get, to me personally, we don't get those great epic games on the first announcement and the first release of the consoles. Usually they put out a couple okay games and maybe one game that's kind of like a little stronger, and then we'll wait it out, and then that's when the better games start displaying themselves. But the way that Spider-Man looked on that intro, man, and just the fact that they decided to go left. I mean, we saw a lot of the things with Miles unravel in the last Spider-Man game, but my thoughts were they were just going to go into Spider-Man 2 most definitely, and that we probably get him as downloadable content, or we get half story with him or playable parts with him. But I didn't expect him to go completely cannonball in the water and give us a complete Miles Morales game. It looks incredible. I'm overly excited about it. My only regret is I just can't drop the money and get it tomorrow.
Now, I got a question for you. Do you think it's a full title? Because initially, I think that's a full title. I'm thinking it's a side story, a very big one, maybe like Uncharted Lost Legacies, where they put like a good percentage. They already got the map built, so they can put a pretty big story. But I don't think it's not Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, they said it wasn't. They announced it wasn't Spider-Man 2, but we have a big announcement for you.
So so it is. You're thinking it is a big.
Yeah, the way I considered it, that this is a whole different game. It takes off where Spider-Man 1 took left with Miles' story. So I feel like this is a game just revolved around Miles. I don't feel like this is an add-on.
Right. Okay, cool. I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
Jeremy?
I mean, am I excited for it? Yeah. I'm pretty excited for it, as you can obviously tell. I'm definitely more excited for it.
Yeah, your tone.
Yeah, I'm definitely more excited for that than the Xbox Series X. I saw, it had a bunch of good announcements, a bunch of interesting games. I'm sure we'll get into some of the games we thought were interesting, but I appreciated that unlike the Xbox presentation, there was more gameplay shown. Not everything almost had a CG trailer, but there was gameplay shown for a lot of these games, where the Xbox one, it was just gameplay shown of one or two things, and most of it was CGI trailers of third-party games. They haven't done first-party yet. I'm glad that PlayStation did show and highlight first-party games. I mean, with the first 3 to 4 games they showed were Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Gran Turismo 7, and Ratchet and Clank. Those are 3 PlayStation exclusives.
Right.
So,
and they all look good. I'm not a Gran Turismo fan, so I won't be getting that, but the other 2 look great. I'm going to buy them day one.
Yeah.
So is this kind of like solidified for you then? PS5 over Series X, like without a doubt?
Yeah, because I have a PC, so I don't need an Xbox Series X.
Oh, for me too. PlayStation 5, it's really not even a contest. I don't think I'll be buying an Xbox until it gets a little cheaper.
What did you guys think about the look? I didn't hate it. A lot of people said it was pretty sweet. I'm like, it looks like a modem though. I wasn't like, oh, over the hill, but I don't hate it.
It looks like a modem, but it looks like the dopest modem you could possibly buy.
It looks like the modems I can't afford. I liked it. I think it's a huge step up from PS4, which is kind of just like a black box, and PS3, ugly. Which was George Foreman grill. PS2 was pretty sexy, but this one looks good too, and I kind of like how they went with white from the beginning.
Yeah,
looks nice.
Yeah, well, it has the kind of blue hue or blue highlight strips where the vents are and everything. Yeah.
I mean, it's going behind my TV no matter what, so I'll never see it. Now they announced 2 different consoles. They announced an all-digital one. Does that kind of do anything for any of you guys?
Me personally, no. I'm more old school. I want my kid.
Yeah, so, that's what I was gonna say. I'm a physical guy.
You're a physical guy too. I'm one of those guys that still goes and buys like DVDs, and people are like, "I'm like, let's watch a movie," and I'm like, getting the DVD. I'm like, "What are you doing?" This is Netflix. It's like, so I like having a physical copy in my hand.
I'm all for the digital, like especially if it's a little bit cheaper. $50 even, all digital. I almost went all digital this gen. Jeremy, you're a PC guy, so you're already all digital, right?
Well, yeah, kind of. For consoles, I usually like to have physical. The thing is that the physical for it would only be for the 4K Blu-ray, really. And I already have an Xbox One S that has a 4K Blu-ray player in it, so I don't really need the disc version in order to play 4K Blu-rays if I wanted to.
Right.
Also, I don't really own a lot of 4K Blu-rays. I'm kind of like Corderio. I'm super old school. When I want to go watch the remake of Starsky and Hutch that stars Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson, I go ahead and grab the DVD and I load it in there.
Has that happened a lot?
Not with that particular movie. That's not really when you grab the playlist.
Okay. Just checking, man.
Yeah. David, so man, I'm probably more, but just to go along with you, I'm probably more digital with it.
Okay, especially if it's cheaper. You know? Now, David, you haven't really said much here, man. I know. We all know.
Yes. So
go ahead, talk about it, man.
I got my story.
No, he's got a game on there that he wants to shout from the mountaintops or from the village.
I watched the whole thing, and as the presentation was going on, nothing was really catching my eye. Everything looks good. It looks like, they're going to have a lot of sales, but just nothing. And then this game showed up, and it was looking good. It was looking great. I'm like, okay, finally, a game I'm interested in. And wouldn't you know it, the end, it shows it's freaking Resident Evil. I'm like, of course it's Resident Evil. Like, I can't get away from it. Like, I thought I was going to get into a new series, new game. No, it was Resident Evil 8. Now, that's fine. I'm excited. I was going to get Resident Evil 8 anyways. So now that I know that I like it, it's a sealed deal.
It looks pretty sick, man. Trailer was excellent for it. I think they showed off like a werewolf looking dude, which that's new for Resident Evil, right?
Absolutely.
You want to know what's weird? You want to know what's weird? It's the first time, because I think it begins with this is the end of his story, and they saw all that stuff. What I thought it was originally was I thought it was a sequel to The Order 1886, because that was supposed to have been a PlayStation exclusive. Console seller, it bombed, but it had some potential there. So when I saw it kind of taking place in this older town and the wolf and the werewolf and everything, I'm like, oh, okay, so they're coming out with a sequel with it. And then I saw the guy that's in Resident Evil 7, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. And it said Resident Evil 8: The Village. I will admit that I have not been interested in any Resident Evil game ever until this one. Until this one, though. That trailer was so dope. The vibe and the energy.
Right there. We're not gonna scroll past that. Hold on. You never sat down and gave Resident Evil 4 a chance?
Right? That's the best one.
Yes.
It's really good.
Mr. Corderio, I will retort that I did not say I never played. I said I've never seen a trailer or something that made me interested. I have played them. I played Resident Evil 2 for the Nintendo 64. I played Resident Evil 4 on Nintendo GameCube. And by played, I mean the first 10 minutes. And and that's it. Look, here's the thing, man. I'm not some chump that's going to sit down and let you scare me. Okay? I'm not down with that. Okay? You want to scare people? Tons of them out there. Go scare them. Me? You're not scaring me. Okay?
Don't get scared. Shoot them.
Nah. Nah. See, you get scared before you can shoot them. That's what happens.
Resident Evil 4 is a masterpiece, and I stand on that. Please.
Yeah, I had played that. I had played that for the first time last year, and it still held up. It was a great game.
I beg of you, Jeremy. I beg you, please just play that game all the way through. And if you do not like it, if you honestly, out of the bottom of your heart, if you beat it, if you play it all the way through, and you tell me you didn't like it, I will buy you another game for your trouble.
Here's the thing. It's not that I question whether the game is good or bad, right? I just don't want to be scared in dark places. Okay, that's just really what it comes down to. I've played.
Can't scare me if I don't play it.
I've played and beat what was it? Not Dying Light. I played and like Dying Light, but whatever, I forgot what it was. The zombie game where you're on the island and it's nice and bright.
Yeah, that's not scary.
Dying Light? No, I wasn't scared playing Dying Light.
A lot of people get scared playing Dying Light.
That's interesting. See, here's the thing though, because in Dying Light I can parkour, right? If I can jump around, then I feel like I got a little bit more of a chance. But with Resident Evil, I got a fixed camera, and I've got you got to shoot 1 to 2 to the head to get them down, but it's like a weird camera view, so I don't even know if I'm aiming. Most of the time I wasn't even aiming at them right. I was a little bit off. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to keep missing shots, getting my confidence going down, and you're going to scare me in dark places? Nah, this isn't for me. So I haven't really returned, but I will return for 8 though, because that trailer was incredible. So
yeah, it looked great.
Agreed.
I just want to highlight one other game real quick.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm so excited. There was this game called Little Devil Inside. You guys remember seeing that trailer? It was like a storybook type thing. That looked, I don't know, it looked incredible to me. It kind of looked like a survival game with like a really cool art style. Thought it looked real good. Hitman 3, awesome. Demon Souls remake by Blue Point, who did the Shadow of the Colossus remake.
That's big.
That looked, I couldn't even tell. I thought it was Elden Ring at first. I'm like, oh, this is From Software. And it was, but it was Demon Soul, and that should be pretty cool to go back to. It's been a while.
Yeah, definitely.
And Horizon, you said you were excited for. That looked excellent.
Yeah, for me, that's the big one right there is Horizon Forbidden West, because I just love the world of Horizon Zero Dawn. The mechanical half creatures, half robot thing. The world, the way it looks. Aloy as a protagonist is great. So I'm really excited for that one. I do have a question for you guys though. You guys saw the trailer for Jet: The Far Shore. My question is it the most pretentious game trailer you've seen since No Man's Sky?
Wait, which one was that again? Oh, that was the one where they were over the water with the spaceship.
The Far Off Shore, where they have the ambient music going on for 74 hours. And it's just a little ship flying over. Yeah.
Yeah, it reminded me of Interstellar a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought it was Interstellar, the video game.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, but another game I'm actually interested in, Stray, you get to play
looks pretty
cat.
good. That looks pretty good.
You're going around this seedy underworld where androids and robots have replaced society. This kind of Kowloon themed place, and it looked really interesting, really cool. I mean, who doesn't want to be a cat?
I'm kind of excited for Sackboy: A Big Adventure. I don't know if you guys have you guys ever played Little Big Planet?
My children love it.
Like, it's awesome to build stuff, but they also put in like a little story mode, and you always kind of want more of that story mode. And this is exactly it. And I think I'm going to buy it and play with my wife because it looks like a 3D platformer, a full game. So
yeah, I'm glad.
I'm kind of excited for it.
They love Little Big Planet.
Yeah.
That's their thing.
I mean, I think Sony did a good job. They hit on a bunch of different genre games. They talked about a lot of their big hitters, and they threw out some new games. So
they were very diverse.
They sold it. I mean, it took forever.
Like I said, for me, it was a couple that stood out more than others. Some that was like, okay, but the home run hitter for me definitely was Spider-Man. Yeah. And my other home run hitter is going to be, we got about 2 weeks before we get to see the big display of Avengers.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
that should be a good one.
Yeah, that's what I'm definitely waiting for.
I don't want to take credit for this, but I did a Could You Please on this a couple levels ago. So.
Could you please on
Sony revealing the PS5? So without me, who knows? when they would have did it.
Yeah, who knows
Right.
how long
Yeah.
it would have took, Corey.
Exactly, right.
Hey, man. Good work.
I was
Thank
thinking
you.
about that too.
Thank
like
you so much.
2 of the games we mentioned that we would need to see in order to think about buying it, they actually revealed Spider-Man and Horizon. So
Yeah.
I love it.
And it was all thanks to Cory, man.
Yeah. It's all right.
Praise upon thee.
Oh man.
All right, so now that is going to end our discussion on the PS5 reveal. And we're going to move over towards our usuals, the what you playing. And let's start with Cory.
With me? Okay. Well, what you playing? I am playing a couple different games. I am playing a game called Polybridge. Jeremy, this seems like it's a little bit up your alley. It's a bridge simulation building game. Have you heard of it?
I have not.
Okay, well, pretty
seen
much.
that.
Yeah, you have one set of land, and you have an opposite set of land. You got to build a bridge between them. It's a small little game. They have different levels, different. Sometimes you have to make them jump ramps to get to the other side, but it's a small little game. It's fun when your bridge doesn't work and the cars all fall into the water and they drown and die. Hilarious. Another one I am playing is Disco Elysium. That's taken me a while. I know I mentioned this on the previous level. It's fun, but the dialogue is very heavy. It's just a lot of it, so it's taken me a little bit. But then I'm also playing, to wrap it up, I'm playing Streets of Rage 1, Streets of Rage 2, Streets of Rage 3, Sonic the Hedgehog 1, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Altered Beast, Gunstar Heroes, Shining Force. Yeah, so that's my last game I'm playing. I'm playing the Sega Genesis Collection.
He's on it.
I love it. I haven't
Yeah, I bought
played
it.
the original Streets of Rages for so long. I need to do that.
Yeah, I bought it on sale last week. Comes with 50 games. It's hitting that nostalgia. Not all the games are good. Not even all the games are there. Like they're missing Sonic and Knuckles and Sonic 3 for some reason, which seem like staples.
That's
They don't have.
insane.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. They don't have any of like the third-party games, which makes sense. But there's a lot of classics on there. They don't have Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, which is a crime. I don't know if you guys have played that.
I've played the
They
Michael
were
Jackson
smooth
game
criminals
on
for leaving
the
that off.
Kinect.
Yes.
Guess what just happened, David? Did you hear that? There was an opportunity for a bad joke with the Smooth Criminal that Cory didn't take, so Corderio picked it up. Did you just hear that?
Thank you.
I alley-ooped it to him.
Did you? Or did you
Teamwork.
It was accidental.
No,
I went for a
took it,
shot and he picked it up,
I'm
but
gonna
it
walk
still
through it.
worked.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not as upset.
Yeah, but it's a cool little collection, man. It's got like a cool aesthetic. Like you're in like this 90s themed room with like posters on the wall and a Sonic the Hedgehog carpet, and you're playing on a little CRT TV, and it has like a rewind function. So if you game over, it's not that debilitating, and it's got a fast forward function, which is pretty good because Streets of Rage, you still move slow in the first 3. But it really made me appreciate games like Streets of Rage 4 and Sonic Mania because they really hit that nostalgia, but they're definitely improved in every way. So,
Right.
yeah, that's what I'm playing.
Well, I guess I'll segue into that then because what I've been playing is
Go right ahead.
mainly Streets of Rage 4. I know it doesn't take that long to play. You go in a couple hours and you beat it, but Streets of Rage 2 was one of my favorite games coming up.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, same here.
I hated Streets of Rage 3 personally. I just,
Damn
hate it.
kangaroo.
Yeah, and I'm not a big Zan fan either. The freaking old man robot is just whatever. So it's like, but Streets of Rage 2 was definitely classic, definitely a fan favorite for me. And with Streets of Rage 4, it's just pretty much resurrected my childhood because now my kids love it, and now they want to play it all day. So it's like even if I feel like I've Streets of Rage myself out. Like, the streets need to be calm now. Like, my kids come through, and then they want to play Streets of Rage all day. And it just gets me hyped and ramped to play it all over again because now it's something of their childhood, and they fell in love with it. It's like
That's awesome.
when I got them into Ninja Turtles. It's one of those things, it's like, yes, something we can equally share and really love. So I've been playing the crap out of Streets of Rage, and I've just been taking this time to go back into some old titles and dive back into them, like rebeating the Infamous series from start to finish, diving back into Splinter Cell, Blacklist, and going back into Last of Us again before the new Last of Us comes out.
So good. I love that game. So
Yeah,
good.
it's like Last of Us to me is like, of course it's not the same, but I look at it like Game of Thrones. I can do this again and again.
Have you beat it on Grounded?
On Grounded? No.
Dude, it's so hard. I died like 300 times.
Bro,
I finally did it, but oh my god.
The first 2 times I played on normal. This time I'm doing on hard. And man, let me tell you, those clickers have been buddy boy.
Yep.
So,
All right, Jeremy, what do you got?
Yeah, so I've mostly been playing 3 games. I've been playing Command & Conquer Remastered, which came out June 5th. I'll go into that a little bit more later on. I've mostly been playing The Outer Worlds. I've continued playing that. I went through a phase where I liked the game a little, and then I didn't like it, and now I like it again. So we're going to see where this goes. But I will say right off the bat, one thing you can tell the difference between that and Bethesda and Fallout is just the writing. The writing's just great. The dialogue and everything like that. The wit in it, the sarcasm in it, the tone of corporations, that theme that's present in it is really, I really like the way they convey that, and it's really pressing and relatable, especially now. So that's great. And then the other game I've been playing is an old city builder called Emperor: The Rise of the Middle Kingdom. It's just a classic, one of those classic Sierra Impression city builder games, along with Caesar 3 and Pharaoh and Cleopatra, and that's been great. It's just a nice trip down memory lane. That's kind of basically what 2 of these 3 games have kind of been. But yeah, that's what I've been playing. What about you, David?
Well, you guys will never guess. Dead by Daylight, Apex, and Overwatch. I'm a very simple man. I'm sorry for everyone that listens and hears me say the same every week. But, I mean, I like to get online and just play a little bit, call it a day. And that's what I can do with these games. I don't got to remember where I was in a story or anything like that. But I've been playing Dead by Daylight the most. And I stream it every Tuesday night under, Blind Repper stream. So if you guys ever want to come and watch or even play, if anybody wants to download the game and I'll play with you. I don't care what level, what rank. It's fun playing with people, So come watch, come play. Either way.
All right.
So we're going to go to another short commercial, and when we get back, we'll get more into that CNC Jeremy was talking about.
This level of Thoughts and Players is brought to you by us. If you've been enjoying the podcast so far, please show your support and let us know by subscribing to the podcast, following us on the socials, and contributing to community surveys and questions around our community segments. Doing so will help the podcast grow, keep our content engaging, and most importantly, make sure your voice is heard. Thanks for tuning in, and now back to the show.
And we are back once again. It's a lovely time. Now, we are going to go into one of our favorite segments, and it is, ladies and gentlemen, was it worth it? And today we have Jeremy with the topic. So, Jeremy, take it away.
Yeah, so I want to apologize in advance for being the one that's babbling, but I have a game. I have a game that was released, I mentioned before, June 5th. It is Command & Conquer Remastered. Now, before I get into the was it worth it, guys, I think I talked to you guys before. I ran across a review that was terrible, and I wanted to kind of address it because it's one of the first 5 reviews someone that may be interested in this game would come across. And I think it's important to get full context and actual information about something. Okay. So really quickly, this is a review wrote by, if you couldn't believe it, The Washington Post.
That's where I go for my game reviews, yeah.
Absolutely. And the writer, I don't know his name, not really important, but I just want to address some things. So one of the first things he writes is, quote, first introduced in the mid-1990s, Command & Conquer breathed new life into the real-time strategy genre. Since then, the genre has only become flashier and more intricate. As a result, the remastered versions of Tiberium Dawn and Red Alert released Friday by Electronic Arts. Feel a bit spare in this day and age. Players still command different entry. Actually, let me go back. So he ends it there. Released Friday by Electronic Arts, and it feels a bit spare in this day and age. So for one, breathe new life, I guess. The game Dune 2 came out before then, and it was also that same type of game. If he wants to say that, fine, I guess. He also goes on to say the graphics are sharper, which they are, and the controls and interface are slightly tweaked. Okay. But at the core of the remaster is just two games treading the same ground they broke years ago. Now, again, ladies and gentlemen, I will stress to you that this is a remaster, not a remake. So at the core of the game, it will be the same that it was 25 years ago. Just as you had any other remaster that has happened. Not similar to what like Cory was speaking about a few levels ago with the Final Fantasy VII remake. That's a remake. So it plays and feels a little bit different, but the overall theme and story is still intact. It's just kind of a reimagining of that stuff. This writer, he goes on to talk about how it's a point and click interface. You click to build the building you want. You click, to build the unit you want or where you wish it to go or what you want it to shoot, and it carries out your commands, which is fine, but fine isn't good. And he was left wondering why the remaster was made at all. First, what? Secondly, let's put it this way. Let's talk about some actual things. So what might not be well known is that a lot of time with older games, source code isn't intact if you go to look back for it. This was well known with Silent Hill. When they tried to do an HD version of Silent Hill 2 and 3, they didn't have all the code for it. So the development team that took it on had to fill in that code. And because of that, the game suffered from it. It's the same thing with this one. They had to go back in and fill in source code because they didn't have all of it. So they were going to be doing some work there anyway. Secondly, the resolution is an issue. I'm sure you guys do know that resolution in 1995 is different than resolution in 2020.
It is?
It surprisingly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, surprisingly, there's a lot more pixels we can work with nowadays. So you have to remap and rescale things accordingly. You can't do that with the old game because it wouldn't map to that. It was made for a 4:3 aspect ratio on CRT TVs or CRT monitors. It's not going to work the same way as it would now, right? And a matter of fact, when I talked a little spiel I talked about with Emperor, I'll be having some footage on a clip we put on YouTube. You'll see what an old game looks like that hasn't been updated. There are also 20 new cover songs in addition to the original remaster soundtrack that was made. So that's another reason why the remaster works there. He goes on to say, that it's pretty much just it's not really that stunning of a remaster. It doesn't really apply. There's other games that have been remastered better. It's basically just the same experience with more palatable visuals. Again, it's a remaster, right? Myst, have you seen Myst recently? Doesn't look that great. Have you seen Doom recently? Doesn't look that great. And we're talking about the originals, not the newer versions. But then he gets into a bit about the story. How, as you all know, if you guys have played Command & Conquer games, or if you haven't, there's these missions that you go on. These missions have maps, just like every other RTS. And in between those they call them FMVs. They're basically live action movies that play in between the missions that help build the plot, as well as animations. Well, they shot those in 1990 something, right? On digital cameras. So they don't scale up well, right? So he's talking about, hey, the references in it are outdated. The videos look outdated and silly. I would like to point people as a point of reference to a classic movie, a classic film in cinema called Starship Troopers. Okay? Starship Troopers is laughably over the top. It's laughably militaristic, and that's for a reason. Because the movie was seeking to parody military, imperialistic, nationalistic culture. That's why. So, of course, these are outdated and they're silly. That's the point. In fact, with one of the games, Red Alert, the catalyst for that game's story is that Einstein goes back in time to the 1920s and goes full on Vegeta and teleports Hitler to the next dimension. That's the catalyst of the story. So at which point is it not supposed to be silly? Just a really weird thing. He goes on to criticize how a pilot mentions, the country of Belarus is something you can attack. It's an important position in the Command and Conquer Tiberium Dawn version of the game. There's 2 games that come in this collection: Command and Conquer Tiberium Dawn and Command and Conquer Red Alert. He's talking about how a pilot mispronounces a name. For one, okay. Number 2, he doesn't specify which campaign it's in. Is it Tiberium Dawn? Is it Red Alert? Is it the GDI campaign? Is it the NOT campaign? Is it the Allies or the Soviets? Come on, man. Not a good review. I got triggered by it, obviously, because I hate misinformation. And the person that wrote it seemed like someone who just kind of played the game in passing and really didn't critically look at it. They didn't really care that much. Now, you know who does care. That is moi. So the question of, was it worth it? Short answer is yes. If you're into RTSs, if you're a Command and Conquer fanatic, right? Or if you're thinking about getting into RTSs, one of the criticisms that was made in this article is that the gameplay is somewhat simplistic. And that's true. Again, 1995. But I think it's a good way for people to get into RTSs, because if you want to graduate up to something more complex, like let's say like a StarCraft, like a Grey Goo, maybe even some of the later Command and Conquer games, then I think starting out with something that has simplistic systems and strategies will help. You'll feel challenged, but you won't feel overwhelmed. Going into some of the pros of this game, the campaigns are as cheesy as remembered because they're the same thing, right? The music, which isn't even mentioned in the review, is phenomenal. Phenomenal. I cannot stress enough how great the music is. And I'm someone that's more tending to like Red Alert more than Command and Conquer, because I like the kind of Cold War aspect of it a bit more from a thematic standpoint. One of the big things that were talked about with this remaster is that they upscaled the graphics. If you didn't know, the original assets were 320 pixels by 200 pixels. But of course, they should be able to port it to nowadays 2020. They went ahead and redrew everything and made it up to 4K upscale. So it's actually really cool. If you hit the space bar, you can actually change between the remastered new upscale graphics and the old school 320 by 200 pixelated graphics. It's novel. It's a cool thing. It doesn't really add a lot. The other thing they did, which is new, which you doesn't get why they did a remaster, is they had to completely rebuild the multiplayer. If you guys don't remember, the multiplayer in the original Command and Conquers used voice over IP, and it was connected to Westwood Studios server. They had to get rid of all that because Westwood Studios doesn't exist anymore. So they were able to rebuild the multiplayer from scratch. They introduced new multiplayer modes and skirmish modes. They introduced a quick match mode. The multiplayer is enjoyable. It's great. It's fast paced. I played someone last night and I destroyed them. So there you go. If I can destroy someone, you guys have got a shot. Let's go into some of the cons, though. So the FMV and the CG snippets, they don't look particularly good. Why? Because they were made in 1995. And no matter how much you do upscaling, it's not gonna fix all of it. Now, I think the way that EA chose to upscale it may be part of the issue, because EA decided to use an algorithm to upscale it rather than treat it themselves. And I think the algorithm treated some of the colors and contrast wrong and smoothness, and not that great. And also another con, the game has some balance issues at times. Guys will stand there and just get shot and die. Right? When you're trying to win a war, not great. Those same balance issues have been there. They contemplated going back and fixing them, but the game design is so tight that if they had did that, it would have messed up the entire flow of the game. So they had to leave the balance as is. And then the last being is that the AI pathfinding is pretty bad. So if you're someone that gets easily frustrated by that stuff, either don't get it or strap in, right? Because you're going to get a lot of it. But overall, I would say that this game is worth it. It's $20. You get both games, Tiberium Sun, Command and Conquer Tiberium Dawn, and you also get Command and Conquer Red Alert, the original. Both games come with all the expansions. They also come with some missions that were exclusive to consoles. That's all packaged in and included now. And it's $20. Also a key, this game is published by EA. This game does not have any microtransactions. All the content is there. There are no plans to get monetary recurrence is happening through microtransactions. They may put out DLC. That's cool. I would say the other big thing about this that you may be interested in is that they are making the source code available. So this is not only up there because it's great and is remastered, but it's moddable. So there will be mods for this game. And I can't wait to see what the modding community comes up with, because the modding community is just fantastic. Every single game I play on PC, I play with mods. I don't know how you can't, really. So that's all the great things with this game. Some things that aren't great, but I just wanted to make sure I put out, was it worth it? Yes. Don't listen to that information. Go to Ars Technica, go to PC Gamer, go to some place like that if you want to read a review. Do not go to the Washington Post. Terrible review. It was worth it.
All right, so
you covered
good.
it.
Yeah,
you covered it. My only question was something you already answered. It was like, is this a RTS you would recommend to a new player? I don't play a lot of RTSs. If I said, Jeremy, I want an RTS that I can play, you would recommend this one?
Yeah, it's super easy, simplistic. If you are going into it for story, it's not going to be there unless you really like campy stuff. You know, it's silly, and that's why I liked it.
Yeah.
It was silly back then.
Right.
But yeah, from a game mechanics standpoint, it's simple. You can understand this, and I believe, you know, building confidence in games like this allows you to progress to more complicated RTSs if you end up enjoying it.
Awesome. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, so that puts our was it worth it's at a 3-1 ratio. So that's not bad. It's not bad. We're gonna move right on into one of our newer segments, and that is No Good Reason. And I'll start us off with that. I like, for no good reason, the game Road Rage. Now, I don't know if a lot of people remember that game. It was on like PlayStation, and I believe it was Sega or Nintendo. I can't remember which one, because I played it at my grandpa's and he had both those systems. But what's not fun about riding a motorcycle and beating people with chains and then knocking them off of their motorcycle? You know, it's just it's a riding beat 'em up.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
Besides the fact it sounds illegal, but it's also
very very illegal.
Yeah,
but it's just so simple. You know, that's just right up my alley in the kind of games I like, and that's probably a good place where it started. Cory?
Okay, so I need to redeem myself from last level a little bit. I had picked Custom Robo, which is a great game. There was good reason to like that one. So I apologize. This week I have chosen Fusion Frenzy, which is not a good game. It is it's a party game, like Mario Party, just without any of the charm or fun mini games. It's got a cast of characters that are very generic. Zack, he's the guy dressed in yellow. Jet, she's the one dressed in pink. So you got these kooky cast of characters that you fall in love with. You don't. It also has just really uninspired graphics. It's supposed to be realistic, but it's in like a grimy sort of spot. Like it's like city areas, rooftops, you know, alleys and stuff. And it just doesn't look good. And the mini games, you know, that's what a party game is based off of. I would say a good 95% of the mini games are trash, like just not fun. And when you play it and when it pops up and everyone groans, it's like, man, we don't want to play this. But I will tell you this, for no good reason, this is the one reason. They have a few mini games that just shine like no other games. And those are the ones that you go back to and you keep playing. The three mini games are Trailblazer. It is a Tron-inspired where you're on your light bike and you have this tail and you're trying to get people to run into it. Awesome fun. You got Sumo, where you're in these big cages that are round and you try to knock people off the ledges. And you got Twisted System, which is a jump and duck type mini game, and it keeps getting faster and faster and faster, and you're trying to go for a high score. And that really redeems the game because the rest of the game is trash. But if you can pick this up, I think it's backwards compatible on the Xbox One. Those three mini games are probably worth the $10 because you're going to get a lot of fun out of those. Just do not play any of the other games. You know, yeah, it's Fusion Frenzy. There was a sequel that was also horrible, and that's probably why they haven't made a third game in the series. So that's my no good reason.
Sounds terrible.
It was.
For one, you guys are just blaspheming Fusion Frenzy, but I digress. I digress from that.
Wait, what? You like it?
You're blaspheming. It's not a great game. It's isn't that game.
It was a bad game.
I would say subpar.
Do you know those games I was talking about? Those mini games?
I do know. Yeah, I do.
They're the best ones, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know the fourth best one?
No, I don't.
Yeah, there is no fourth best one.
Okay.
It's those three. And there's like 50 mini games in the game.
Okay.
And when you play the little story mode, your chances of getting those are like 2%.
I'll admit the game has a low batting average, but those other ones are out of the park home runs.
They are. Yeah. Okay. Good.
My no good reason is a game called Brothers in Arms. I have here in my notes, Road to Hill 30. It is a first-person World War II shooter. The bad writing, bad voice acting. It is ugly. The shooting, good luck hitting something, because they didn't calibrate it well to where when you actually fire your gun, there's weird recoil and your guy's arm is floating and you're like, oh, I got this guy on my sights. Oh no, you were just off by like 7 inches or 12 inches or 15 inches. It's hard to aim, and there's so much. The setting is in the French countryside of World War II, so everything looks kind of drab and samey, right? And again, I can't stress how hokey and bad the voice acting and the writing is. You come up as you're some soldier, and you have your lieutenant. Hey, 10 hut. All right, sir. Yes, sir. My name is Private whatever, sir. It sounds that bad. But why is it good? Well, the actual setting of it, though drab, can be immersive. It's different. Exploring the French countryside in World War II is something that wasn't done a lot. I believe they explored it in Medal of Honor European Assault, but I'm not sure. The other thing is that the game employs squad command tactics. You have control of 2 squads, an assault squad and the support squad. And the basic tactic of the game is suppress and flank. You use your support team to suppress an enemy squad or enemy squads, and you use your assault team to flank and attack. That bit of strategy, along with the first-person shooter elements, along with some writing that gets better towards the end, and again, being in that World War II setting, in a setting that's not really shown that much, we're kind of showing other things in regards to that. It's kind of what's made it stick with me, and what I go back to revisit it. It's had other games, 2 subsequent games. I believe Brothers in Arms Bunker Hill and Brothers in Arms Hell's Highway. They improved on the concept every single time. So those are definitely good games to check out. I'm going to go with the original because it obviously had the most rough edges around it. But yeah, that's my no good reason.
All right. Now today we actually have some people from the community, and we start with Cody. The game he liked for no good reason was the Friday the 13th game. Now that's basically the Dead by Daylight. It's the one killer versus the 4 survivors. But
are you Cody?
You're just Jason. Shh, I don't want to talk about it. It's a secret. But the one person plays Jason, and then other people play the survivors, and they're called campers in that game. But the game's a lot of fun, he says, because you communicate with the teammates, and you try to find the necessary stuff to escape. Because in that game, you have to find items or whatever. And Dead by Daylight is just doing generators. And he says when you have to try to find stuff while Jason is picking you off one by one, and it makes your nerves wreck during the game. And he says janky, though, if Jason can't run, because he will have a hard time catching up to you. And he recommends it just for the fact how nervous you get when you're playing as a camper. And we have one more. We have Eric. The game he liked for no good reason was The Missing JJ, Macfield, and the Island of Memories. This one I actually never heard of, so this sounds interesting. It is a puzzle platformer where you play as a female protagonist looking for her love interest, Emily, after she goes missing. He says, sounds okay. Except, in order for you to progress through the game, you have to mutilate yourself to get past areas.
Yeah, that sounds horrifying.
What? Out of left field.
Oh, what a concept for a game.
Yeah, that when I first read that got me by surprise. Not expected ever. And then, not to mention the strange moose guy in the beginning saying awkward and random stuff. What even is this game?
There is no good reason
like,
to it.
Were they on drugs making this? It sounds like it. But he played the game, still knowing how gross it was, and played it for no good reason.
All right, cool. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, we appreciate the input.
And keep writing in.
Keep writing in. I love it. I want to read more of it. And we're going to be ending the level soon. But before we do, we have our final thoughts. Do you guys have any final thoughts you'd like to say?
I do.
What do you got?
So my final thoughts are this. I don't know how many people know this, but I am a huge board gamer. And I like to make lists. So every year, me and my cousin Joey and my brother Cody, what's up, guys? We make a top 25 list. You know, last year was top 20. We got more games. Now we're doing a top 25. So for the next 3 levels, I would like to read down my list very quickly, of course. So I will start off. At 25, we have Parks. 24, we have Dixit. 23, we have Zulkin, the Mayan calendar. 22, we have Scythe. Jeremy, why are you smiling like that, man? At 21, we have Twice as Clever. At 20, we have Detective Club. At 19, we have Maracaibo. At 18, Gloomhaven. 17, Modern Art. And 16, Rising Sun. Those are 25 through 16. I'll hit you guys with the rest of the list in the coming levels. If you have any board game recommendations, hit me up on our Facebook page. We can talk board games a little bit.
All right.
And have you guys heard of any of those?
Not a single one.
Of course not.
Listen, when we start doing this in person, I'm going to bring a couple, all right? I'm going to get you to play one.
I was talking to some girl. Have you ever heard of this board game that's about birds?
I've heard of all board games, Jeremy.
So you should know.
Yeah, it's Wingspan.
Yeah, that's it.
It's a great game. It's a great game.
So is it essentially just Pokemon except with only the bird ones?
All right, so here's the deal, man. I think board games they don't have a bad rap. They just don't really have any rap. Board games are like, they're strategic now. You know, it's not rolling dice and seeing where you land. It's like you have to formulate strategies. And for Wingspan, you got to kind of formulate them on the go because you're getting a hand of cards with different birds and they all have different properties and you've got to place them on your board and they each go in different spots and they're each fed a little bit differently. And when you put them on their board, it gives you kind of like powers. It's an engine building game where the more stuff you get on the board, the better your engine is. So at the beginning of the game, maybe you can only grab like 1 piece of food, but towards the end, you're grabbing 5 pieces of food or you're grabbing 6 eggs, which each all give you points. It's a very cool game. Maybe I'll bring that one. Maybe you'll see it on the list.
Ooh.
Jeremy, what do you got to say, man? Go ahead.
My final thought is quick and simple. Hurry up with the PlayStation 5 so I can buy it.
Fair enough.
All right. My final thought is, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now. People are trying to do a lot of changing. And I've been doing a lot of self-reflection lately. And I just want to say, if people expect any kind of change, you're going to want to look into yourself and see if you need any changes as well. It could be something from changing your government, or it could be something that changing the way your body looks. Their day by day needs to be a little different, put a little dedication into it, and results may vary.
That's very nice, though.
Yes, thank you. But those are our final thoughts. We're going to call that end of level 4. I want to thank you all for dealing with me as the host today. I hope I did well. And we hope to see you on the next one. Until then, have a good night.
Play that sweet, sweet music.